everybody, thanks for joining me. So I'm going to do a quick technique video, and I figured I would take a look at multiple stamping as far as like your different images. This one is a actually kind of a 4 stamp process to do the koi fish. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And then there's even other like the lily pad has two stamps, and there's so many other things you can do to layer up, kind of make a scene. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this koi fish, okay? And I'm gonna show you 2 different ways that you can actually do this. So I'm using these 2 colors here, and on my 3rd stamp I'm going to be using the Versamark with the gold embossing powder. So I'm taking my lightest color and I'm stamping the first stamp, which is usually your solid, okay? Most of the time the solid stamp is going to be the lightest, and then you're building your way up to your darkest. So after I stamp that, I'm going to take the next stamp, which is sort of like it's basically the detail stamp for this set, and that I'm going to use the red because I wanted to use some different colors, not your typical colors, but sometimes you like to change things up. And so I'm going to line this up with my glass block and press down and press back up. Now, even doing it with the glass block here, if you look at it, I should have brought it up closer to the camera, but I was off just slightly. But it wasn't so bad that it made the whole, fish look horrible. I would still use it on a project if I, wanted to. It's not so bad or so off that you have to scrap it and start over. So now the 3rd part of the stamp is kind of like the highlight or the top layer, which is why I'm decided to use the gold as that layer. So it gives it just a little hint of something special if the person holding the card tilts it and does stuff like that. So I'm just heating up the heat tool, and I heated a little bit from the back because I didn't want to have too much warping. And we're just going to melt the embossing powder. And then there you go. Do you see it in the light? It gives it just a little hint of something. And you could do the 2nd layer, you could emboss that and then do black on top. The last little bit, which I'll do, I think, towards the end here. I'm just really right now stamping some of the bubbles, the waves, which makes it look like the fish is swimming in a direction, depending on how you put it on, your card. And I think this one I'm grabbing is, okay, it's just the Happy Father's Day sentiment. And I just used that one because it happened to be out. It happened to be on my desk, and then I decided to change it to Happy Birthday. That's right, because at this point Father's Day is technically done by the time you see it. So I was like, well, I won't use Father's Day, but I have used the koi fish for a Father's Day card. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use our Misty, okay? And one of the best things about the Misty is your stamp placement. Whenever you're using a Misty tool, you can do a lot more, especially if you have to do a larger number of cards. You can do more and have them know that they're all going to be in the same spot. You know what I mean? Because you don't have to keep moving your stamp. And what I would do is just do each step. Once you have it set up, just do it for all of them. So if you're doing 4 or 5 cards, set up your step and then just do all of the cards for that step. Now on this one, I decided to use the brown, and for the detail part, I actually grabbed my black onyx, VersaFine black onyx ink. Now with this one, it does stay wet a little bit longer, so I should have heated the paper first, because the powder, it didn't really help keep the gold embossing powder in its place, because it was still kind of wet. And that's the thing with VersaFine. When you stamp with it, it stays wet longer because it stays on top of the paper longer than a dye ink. So the first one I did, didn't have any problems, and I was able to control it because I was using 2 dye inks. So that would be my only thing, is just make sure you're aware of which ink you're using and how it's going to affect your process, if you need to let it dry or if you need to heat it. So after I did the steps on that, I realized, okay, now I have to give it its eyes and the little mouth. So I'm grabbing that piece out of the stamp set, and I'm just going to use the black onyx ink. It's one of my favorites to use because it's a nice crisp black, but like I said, just be mindful, because if your hand swipes it, it will smear. And then there's a close-up of that one and that one. Now they look better because they have eyes. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one, just kind of turn it to the side. And I think I put like a little, no, I don't put a happy birthday on that one. I'm saving it. But I just wind up cutting them in half. I was going to actually set them up on cards, but I decided to just leave it like this for now, just to show you the technique. So if you have a MISTI, obviously you're going to get better placement, because that's one of the benefits of having a MISTI. However, if you have just your clear blocks, you can still get a really nice image using the glass block as well. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. Links to scrapbookingwithme.com will be down in the more section, as well as all their social media links. And if you go over and you make a purchase, use my coupon code TT15, so that way you get an extra 15% off on anything that's not already discounted. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a great day.